Today is a really cold and cozy spring day here in Sweden. So I was planning to make a video with the art book for the game Skyrim. I recently made a video on the official strategy guide for the Elder Scrolls Skyrim game, and it was really appreciated by you. So I actually got a hold of the art book for Skyrim. This book is quite big, quite heavy, but what I really enjoy about it is that the hardcover is squishy. It's some kind of padding on this book, so you can also squish down on it, and it's so nice to touch. You can see the Dragonborn logo, and it's embossed, so it has recent edges. Backside is all black. I got this book like all of the books I do get second hand, and I had a really lovely viewer explaining in the comments that the wear and tear is actually supposed to be there. It's supposed to look gold. I did not know about that, so thank you. Now I know that it's actually in quite a pristine condition. I really hope you will enjoy this video together with me. So just sit back and relax. Thank you. I think this book is actually so beautiful. The cover has a texture that almost makes it feel like leather. I wonder if it could be. No, I don't think so. Maybe a faux leather. This is a book I really been enjoying going through in my spare time. Table of contents: forward, world, statues, creatures, races, clothing, armor, weapons, items, effects, key art, and credits. Forward. When we start designing any of our games, we always start with the feel of the world. Despite our stories and character systems, the world in our games are the main characters. It's the world that tells the story. It's the world that invites you to explore, and it's the world that rewards you. It's our belief that when you first play an Elder Scrolls game, it has to take you to another world. It's the mix of high technology and history that makes video games the greatest form of entertainment on earth, to play and to create. At Bethesda Game Studios, we have an amazing team of artists, designers, programmers and producers. It takes all of us to put up the game together and to make even the smallest ideas believable. And that's what we strive for, to make the game, despite it being fantasy, completely believable for what it is, to make you think it is all really happening, or this could have happened. We obsess over the details, large and small. The first piece of a game art, created by lead artist Mart Carofano, was a simple stone wall aged to perfection. This book celebrates our art team, the group that makes the world beautiful and inviting. The art in the game is the final results of their effort. With this book, we wanted to make sure we showed its genesis. 90% of what you see in this book is concept art created by two men. Adam Adamovich and Ray Lederer. They're two of the finest and most entertaining people I had the fortune to work with. Every day for 3 years, these two guys created images that inspired the entire team. We hope they inspire you just as much. Todd Howard, the game director for Skyrim. Here is a picture of the complete team. I do still feel like this is such a small group of people creating such an amazing game. World. This is some really amazing concept art with the hills and the greenery and scenery. Riften. The big dock. You can see the ships entering to the docks. Riften situated on the eastern shore of Lake Honrich, and amid the beauty of the rift, is home to the Thieves Guild. This design creates a strong contrast between the surrounding environment and the seedy roadway beneath the city. The Rogues Guild. If you do have any questions, no, I never played any of the Elder Scrolls games. I tried Skyrim when I was younger on either PlayStation or Xbox, but I cannot stand console gaming. And I've always been too deep into World of Warcraft to try out other games. But I really want to play Skyrim on the PC. I think that would be a really awesome experience as an adult. Look at all this little housing. Riverwood. Probably some werewolves haunting. Here's a blacksmith. You can see the sign. Riverwood Trader. Cute little town. Riverwood was the prototype for the towns in the game. It was the first area built to completion in Skyrim. This looks very Viking inspired. These buildings. I know a lot of Skyrim was supposed to be inspired by the Vikings, but it's really like the Bronze Age buildings. At least the ones we have recreated here in Sweden as well. Up here at the top is the inside of one of these long buildings with complete housings for a lot of townspeople. Solitude. A big grand castle atop of the mountain hill. Solitude. Solitude was originally designed as the seat of the Imperials in the province of Skyrim. As a result, The architecture was created to reflect the imperial style from past Elder Scrolls games. The idea of building it on a land bridge came early in production and reminded one of the most unique features of this city. You can see the complex architecture, almost having a medieval Europe, France feel to it. In the contrast to the other provinces that had a feel of being Bronze Age, Viking era. Large towns with large housing for the inhabitants. Sovngarde. Inside the big halls. I wonder how many times I will say in this video that something is Viking inspired. But the great halls for celebrations. Sovngarde. Sovngarde is the Skyrim equivalent of Valhalla. We created an idealized version of an ancient Nordic mead hall set in a dramatic northern valley to receive warriors when they die. Let's see. I love the art with the big ancient carcasses. Probably some kind of whale skeletons used as a bridge to the city of the dead. And the afterlife for the Nords. Whiterun. The first yellow bright piece of the world. Not looking so gloomy. I love how the artwork goes through so many colors of these games. I think today, when most games are designed with one idea and not many, the entire world has the same tint, the same hue. A lot of games nowadays are not based on role-playing games, but use quick PvP, I guess. Some different housing ideas. All of the big lodges and the roofs. Whiterun, built on a huge rock outcropping in the middle of the tundra. Whiterun is a more classic example of a Nordic architecture. The early designs envisioned a crystalline throne left in a raw form after the ground was broken to build the Jarl's castle. It wound up being too specialized an object to justify building, considering the massive size. The art of this game is absolutely breathtaking. I'm so glad that I got this book. It is such a good condition. Windhelm. Windhelm sits on the northern bank of the White River, an imposing view of massive stone walls. It is the oldest city in Skyrim, built over a span of centuries on top of an ancient Nord fortress from the earliest days of Skyrim. It is home to the Stormcloaks, and the only city that thrives in the snow and ice of the coldest region. I wish I could visit a place like this. Ancient ruins, built up frozen tundra is usually not a very livable place. But with rocks and stone they've built up their little city. Absolutely beautiful art to look at. I like places like this. Only stone, no trees, no wood building. Just harsh and cold. This is Art of Skyrim. Art of Skyrim is home to the monastic order of the Greybeards, who are devoted followers of the Way of the Voice. The overall shape is reminiscent of a dragon's spine and stretches out as a barrier to keep travelers from reaching the summit. In a way, I wish I would have played the game before doing the art book, because it really intrigues me to know what these places are. But at the same time, I'm happy to one day be able to go through this experience. Markarth, look at this ancient place. Buildings built into a mountainside, looking over a lake. This also looks very ancient. There's not a lot of new towns in the Skyrim game, but a lot of ancient history and ancient lore. This looks, even though it's Viking inspired, the runes and carvings, but it looks almost inspired by the Aztecs. Markarth. Markarth is an ancient Dwemer city built into the towering cliffs of the Reach Mountains range. The design for the city was focused on extreme verticality, allowing for striking panoramic views from the many different levels while still making it easy to navigate. This is so crazy that there were only two people creating all of this art for this game. Nordic ruins. Just look at this flat plain with all the ruins. Here is even more of the Nordic ruins. A player followed by wolves, heading into the desolate ruins. Look at all the moss covering the stones. The Nordic ruins are deliberately primitive in their construction. Rough-hewn stone, large wooden posts, and archaic carvings suggest a primitive but deeply spiritual culture. The overgrown and rubble speak to the age of the ruins, and the architectural shapes suggest rib cages, femurs, and repeating vertebrae of dragons. Oh, I did not catch that was supposed to be dragon inspired. I wish I could create art like this, or just being as creative. Inside the town hall, the ruins of a lost civilization. building the heroes and characters entering the tombs, trying to solve and figure out what this place is. Oh wow, all of stories. A long tomb covered with art describing post-events carved in stone. This looks to be a sacred hall. Here is a lot of the art of the stories, with different gods depicted. Probably a nature spirit where flames, the sun, shadows, godly figures. Skyrim temple. And a lot of temples. Wow. Skyrim temple. This hidden temple is the only example of a Kirivi architecture in the Skyrim province. The entire structure was built on top of a cliff in the reach in order to obscure its location. I like these hidden temples with a lot of art. I think these are some examples of the 3D models they made for the game, and it's extremely textured and detailed. Different hidden societies. Aldwin's Wall. Aldwin's Wall is a physical representation of the main story in Skyrim. It depicts Alduin in the past destroying the world, a group of heroes banding together. To banish him, and then they prophesied Dovahkiin who will stand against him. This piece of art plays a pivotal role in the main quest. Forsworn. The theme of the Forsworn is the corruption of nature. This can be seen through the primitive dwellings, which suggest a nomadic and ritualized culture. The Orc Longhouse. We gave the Orcs a more Eastern style of architecture to establish their own distinct culture, while still maintaining a tribal quality to them. These two themes came together in the final structure's large, teepee-like appearance which shields the small encampments. And now we're on to the statues. This looks very demonic. A soul hero coming with his dog. Statues are the main representation of religion in the game. They are divided into two groups, the Daedra, who are the more sinister gods, and the Aedra, who are the more benevolent statues, are an example of the epic reality in Skyrim due to their scale and dramatic placement in the world. Vermina and Jürgen Wind colors too. Clavicus Vile and Talos. The different shrines. Statues. Scale was something we played with when it came to designing statues. Many of the statues don't have a direct Nordic appearance in order to convey that some of them have been imported from other lands, or even have an astral origin. Dibella. Azura, holding the sun and the moon in her hands. Boethia. I wonder if it would be a nice video idea to make series reading the lore about Skyrim and the different gods of the game. Statues. There are many sacrificial themes incorporated into the shrines around Skyrim. We tried to tell a story as much as possible with inserting clues to their origins. Oh wow, you can see a disembodied head on the altar, and the body that has been completely mangled. We have Malakath. It looks very demonic. And Pirite. A small wolf eating a body. And Mara. Creatures. Dragons. Dragons are the centerpiece of Skyrim. We went with the wyvern-like designs, since that is how they appeared in Redguard. This time around we gave them a more muted natural color scheme. This helped fit in with the environment. See the big dragon roaring. So the champion or heroes are losing their steps. Very beautiful art. Some of these dragons looks different compared to each other. Probably since where they came from, all are scaly, but some of them look icy, while some looks almost like rocks on their scales. Alduin. The design of Alduin was inspired by volcanic rock, similar to that found in the plains of Oblivion. He was given a dark and ominous color scheme and more jagged features to help set him apart from other dragons in the game. Look, the Nordic looking helmet. Meeting a bear. Absolutely fantastic artwork. I really love this bright, snowy pieces of art. They look like home to me. Bear. The bears are rather straightforward, though initially they were given a little twist by combining some attributes of giant prehistoric ground sloths into their design. At the end of the day, they wound up being big, buttly gay bears, which is plenty scary enough. Chorus. The idea for this creature was to create a subterranean centipede-like creature that would be a servant to the Falmer. We extended the neck up for more dynamic combat and simplified it to 4 main legs for easier navigation through the environments. Storm Atronach. The Storm Atronach was designed to mimic the destruction caused by a storm. It is composed of physical elements like rocks and debris, All of the Atronach designs are different to illustrate that they each come from different elements. The fire Atronach is the most unique of the three Atronach. She's based on a feminine form and was designed to be graceful and elegant while causing destruction. I think that is like most females usually. Frost Astronach. The Frost Astronach was built to look like glacial cliffs in humanoid form. We designed the movement to be slow and lumbering. Each arm shows a different aspect of ice. One is sharp and jagged blade, while the other is a more compact, blunt instrument. Wow, this looks amazing. Completely creepy. Looking like walking corpses. Drow. The Drows are undead warriors who are buried in the ancient Nordic temples to protect them. We wanted to go with the look of mummified humans wearing layers of decrepit armor. We created Drow specific hairstyles to hint at their previous existence. Amazing. This looks so creepy, more than just being like a walking skeleton, but actually like a walking corpse. This is completely amazing. Both female ones and male ones from the concept art. Mummified corpse. Centurions. The Dwemer Centurions are simple machines come to life with the power of steam and magic. We changed the faces of the Centurions to link them more closely to the extinct race of the Dwemer who originally created them. I think it's so fascinating to have game universes where they are both ancient god, ancient races, and ancient races that are more intelligent and technologically advanced than others. It is so breathtakingly beautiful and amazing. They're trying to fathom that. Different steam, centurions, almost like insects-like. That's a spider one. Oh wow. Falmer. In designing the Falmer, the question we asked was, what would happen if we take a race of elves, force them underground, and see how they evolve? This led to a paler color scheme, hunched over postures and animation, and a more savage look for elves. Frostbite Spider. For a spider, we decided to take a different approach and design around a ground-based arcanid with an attempt to give it a sinister feel. And here's that spriggan. For this spriggan, we thought it important to give her a more otherworldly appearance, almost as if she were an approximation of a human form via a mass of sticks and driftwood held together by magic. We went away from the thick, leafy version of a spriggan to better fit an Arctic climate. Giants. Adding giants to the game was something we have wanted to do for a long time. The success of the Gatekeeper in Shivering Isles helped form the basis for this creature. We purposefully gave him a softer facial features to offset his powerful stature and make him appear more neutral. rise of the Spriggans. Where Spriggans protect nature, the Hag Ravens corrupt it to gain power. The look of the Hag Raven combines an old crone with a raven to create a grotesque body that has been kept alive through magic. Trolls. Of the several concepts we explored, we went back to the more traditional troll design from Morrowind. This time we increased their size and made them more ferocious. Wow, they seem to have 1, 2, 3 eyes. One in the middle of the forehead. Orc. The orcers in Skyrim is more closely resemble walrus than the sea-like bodies from Stoll's time. The truth of it is that Nords call them sea mammal, a orc. Wisp mother. This looks really otherworldly, like a spirit of the forest. Werewolf. Werewolves were another creature that went through several iterations before arriving on the final design. Early concepts stuck to a more human form, but ultimately weren't working out. We went with a more bestial form that felt better within the contrast of the game. Ice Wraith. The Ice Wraith design was inspired by a reference in the lore to the Nords hunting Ice Wraith as a coming-of-age trial. We wanted to create something new with this creature that was dramatically different from other creatures in the game. Like big, icy serpents. Sabertooth. We decided to use 2 different colorations for the Sabertooth. One for the more southern areas of the game and another for the snowy regions. The design for the goat works as a domestic farm animal as well as a wild mountain goat. Slaughterfish. The design for the slaughterfish went from being eel-like to a more prehistoric fish shape. Skeever. We needed an all-purpose low-level creature that would go in any area of the game. The Skeever became a more ferocious rat-like creature that fit this role. Horse. The horse design were based off Highland ponies mixed with a more muscular Clydesdale. This gave us a horse design that is more unique to Skyrim. Wolf. The wolves are directly based on a real wolf. We opened for multiple fur colors to help them blend into various regions. Mud crab. The mud crab has been a fan favorite, and we didn't think we could make an Elder Scrolls game without it. Races. Argonian. We wanted to push the bestial aspect of the Argonians further with this game than we have in previous games. We concentrated adding more reptilian features that broke up the silhouette. These include heavy brow ridges and spiked jaws, and several horn and feather variations. Breton. Bretons are the average human race. They have more rounded and softer features compared to the other human races. Dark Elf. The Dark Elves are the most rugged of the elven races. Their faces are more pointed and cracked, and they have sharper features. High Elf. The High Elves have taller and more severely drawn faces. This visually complements the elitist personalities. Imperial. The Imperial race is based off classical features. They generally have a strong facial structures and darker skin and hair tones. Khajiit. The shapes of the Khajiit face were inspired by a lynx, with the coloration and patterning of a snow leopard. Nord. The Nords are the primary race of Skyrim. They have fair skin and hair that contrast against their strong facial features. An orc. We designed the orcs to look more fierce to reflect their harsh tribal nature. Red Guard. When we designed the Red Guards, we based them off Moorish culture. This gave us a unique combination of looks that could fit many characters. Wood Elf. The Wood Elves are the wildest of the three elf races. We gave them a tan skin and more unkempt hairstyles. Different body types. As a new feature in the Elder Scrolls, you can now choose your build. This allowed for a greater variety of characters. A light build, medium build, or heavy build. Clothing. Mage clothing. The mage needed a bit of a different treatment than previous incarnations. This was done by giving them unique and somewhat stylish cuts to their tunic and robes. Asymmetry and the number 3 played heavily into the design, hence all of the offset triangular shapes. The nocturnal clothing. Look, this would be so comfy to wear myself. Having your breasts almost coming out. I think that's a very nice mage outfit actually. The different clothes of the mage. Here's some barmaid clothing, farmer clothing, different villagers, some really poor ones, Jarl clothing, Shakerat clothing. This is very stylish, all for purple and all red. The red guard. That looks very imperialistic. Barkeep clothing. I would love an outfit like this for my roleplay series I'm planning to do. But I'm thinking about having short sleeves and not long sleeves like that. Miner's clothing. And some amulets. Unique silhouettes and Elder Scrolls lore played heavily into designing the amulets. The goal was to incorporate symbolism and backstory into each one. All of the different amulets of the gods. Armor. Bandit armor. We wanted to establish the bandits as somewhat nomadic and rugged by clothing them in wolf pelts and leather. We provided them with a light armor and plenty of warmth for the cold Nordic nights. Forsworn armor. The Forsworn development began early on, almost by accident, with this initial sketch done on the cover of one of Ray's sketchbooks used for fun. Matt Carfano walked by and said, "Dude, those are for the Forsworn." Imperial armor. The color red was reserved for the Imperials so players could clearly see the presence of the Empire in Skyrim. To convey a more civilized construct to the more rustic stormcloaks, leather and steel took the place of fur and more roughly hewn metal plating. This armor had to visually communicate a higher level of fighting proofs and invulnerability. The raw materials would be harvested in some cases from defeated dragons. Some of the elven armor and the glass armor. Absolutely wonderful. The Nord armor. They have so distinct styles in this game, and the orc armor. Very primal, nomadic. Almost looks to be stolen by other humans. Artifacts. The Eye of Magnus was felt to have a similar origin to the Elder Scrolls itself, a distant and mysterious object that possibly crashed like a meteor into Earth eons ago. Nobody knows how it got there, but one thing is for sure, it holds immeasurable power inside. And weapons. We understand how valuable weapons are to the player, so we focused on each weapon set to emphasize their importance. In Skyrim we tried each of the weapons to erase in order to show a unique culture in how they were made. Most of the weapons in the game are made by Nords, so I wanted to make it obvious when you come across a set that isn't Nordic. For example, the ebony weapon is made by Dark Elves, so we gave it a more sinister and curved style. As you level up, the weapon set you find become more intricate. This allows for a great amount of variety in discoveries for the player. A lot of maces and swords and shields. Even a skeleton key. Daedric. We wanted these to look like they were forged by demons. They are rough and jagged to reflect the realm of oblivion. Nordic. These are the oldest set of weapons in the game, and as a result the most roughly constructed. Dwemer. The Dwemer weapons are more angular and structured forms that reflect the more mechanical culture of the Dwemer. Elven. Keeping the avian winged theme of Oblivion was important, so the idea of adding beaked and taloned flourishes came naturally to design. Falmer. Made from Kara's citron. This weapon set shows the relationship they have with the Kara's glass. Hinting at an elven design since it was on our minds in designing the glass weapons and armor sets. This time we really embraced the translucent glass being the main theme instead of decorating on top of steel. This is probably the most high fantasy weapon design in the game. Iron. Iron is the most basic weapon set in the game. It needed to reflect its common use and simple design. And orc. The goal with these concepts was to communicate a simplistic design while showing off the ability to craft a fearsome and highly effective weapon. Lots of arcs and curves to work around and pry open chinks in an opponent's armor are the main goals of these weapons. Then we have steel. Steel is the first set of well-crafted weapons the player can find in the game. They have more polished surfaces and finer details. Items. You can see some scrolls. Items are in the game to help tell a visual story. These items range from the clutter we place in a house to the unique quest rewards that is essential to the game. Often these items are used in abundance throughout the world, all of them telling a story with their placement. Some blacksmiths, alchemy temple, some ritual place. A lot of world building. Furniture. In an Iron Age, things like nails would be a highly sought after commodity. People with a bit of wealth throughout the ages have almost always striven to be ostentatious. So the idea of hammering lots of nail into a bench or chair seemed to fit a Nordic theme of steel being prized over anything else. In a pinch, they could be removed and forged into a weapon as well. Effects. Tweak effects. By removing effects, you can start to understand the impact they can have on the final scene. False effect. The water effects pieces are built as a set that can be used together to create many shapes needed for the landscape of Skyrim. Bleak false effect. In this scene, the effects enhance the final view of the dungeon. It is important to show the player that he or she has reached a key point in the dungeon. The light coming through. Spider den effects. The special effects in this dungeon help root the spider into the world. Here the layers of webbing, dust and desecrated corpses create a layer that is unique to this creature. Magic concepts effects. These are early prototypes of concepts for the magic system to help illustrate the difference between the types of spells. Absorb, flame, healing, shock. Light beam effects. These images show the dramatic difference that adding effects can make into an environment. Flame pot effects. Into these scenes, a trap is being triggered where an oil catches fire and explodes, and then slowly burns out. Dragon dissolve effect. This is an example of one of the key effect sequence in the game. Since dragons aren't ordinary creatures, we felt their death should be spectacular. There are two parts to this death sequence. The first is the dragon's body returning to its pre-resurrected skeleton form. The second part of the sequence shows the player absorbing the dragon's soul, which is an integral gameplay moment. Landscape. With an expansive world for player exploration, environmental scenery is not only a defining aspect of the graphics, but a character itself within the world of the Elder Scrolls. These conceptual screenshots taken from our editor bring together and solidify several key elements used to set the visuals for landscape in Skyrim. Epic mountains, ethereal clouds, and a moody windswept tone. Trees. Our entire tree pipeline was re-engineered for Skyrim. Every component of tree foliage is now fully 3D, allowing triangle faces to cast and receive shadows. Texture maps used on branch and leaf surfaces are rendered from high-resolution geometry comprised of individual artist-built leaves and stems, offering clean alpha maps of perfectly composed arrangements for use in-game. Weather. With Skyrim, we wanted to improve upon the detail of our dynamic sky system. Oh, this was really hard to read everything white on purple. While bringing exterior vistas to new levels of stylized, mood-setting realism, to do so we relied heavily upon extensive use of fog and endgame frame tone mapping. We have difference: foggy day, clear dawn, rainy day, and snowy day. Really amazing. Clouds. To shroud the mountain peaks and forested valleys while rolling banks of fog and weather. A new technique for rendering per pixel. Normal map cloud details onto 2D faces was created. Various subtexture lighting components can then be baked into our piecemeal cloud kit for wall building. Other sky elements received pre-render work as well. Here are some faces for the moon master who are shown rendered from the high detail source where alpha mask are then used in sky tone. Key art. Early in the production we established iconic images that helped define the tone of the project. These high quality images are based off of in-game art. They are primarily used as a marketing material to build excitement for the game. While the player can pick any type of character, we depict the player as a male Nordic to best illustrate the tone of the game. The Dragonborn. Aerial attack. For this scene we wanted to capture the struggle of battling the dragon without showing the dragon itself. The idea behind this painting is that the Dovahkiin is forming a shout as he draws his sword in a last attempt to defeat the dragon who is hinted at only in shadows. Shout. This scene is from the perspective of a shout power flying up into the air over a defeated dragon. Landscape. This painting was made to convey the epic scale of the world of Skyrim. And here is the name of the Skyrim art team. I really enjoyed going through this art book, and I'm happy they had a lot of text explaining their thoughts, covering the different topics and parts of the game. This is a book I'm really enjoying going through, and I hope you also enjoyed going through it with me. Thank you so much for